812. All right.
Congratulations.
Brand new car.
These are from Man Lake. They were supposed to be here for the for the beginning school, but didn't make it here in time. So we figured, do it this way. 816.
Heroic check.
All right, that's compliments of Rodney, wherever he is. Thank you, Rodney.
Got trust. You're going to do another heroic check?
Can, all right. 806. All right. That's another Varroa check, courtesy of Rodney.
Choking on the dust.
Yeah. And last but not least, 814. Look at there.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, is everybody enjoying the class for today? A lot of information? Too much? Yeah. Well, guess what? We got some more information for you. Now, what we're trying to do is keep our information as down to y'all's level as possible. Because if we got into disease and some of the other things, something like what Rodney was doing, it'd be like drinking out of a fire hose. So we're just taking you, letting you look and see and do and hands-on stuff. Now, when you're down with me, we talked a lot about queen problems, and that's what we're going to talk about now. Like we talked about, there's 3 types of queen cells. There's the emergency, supersedure, and the swarm cell. The emergency queens are queens that the bees have decided to make after the queen dies, or there's an accident, whether you killed it, whether the queen had a heart attack or whatever. The last egg she laid has 3 days before it hatches and is able to become a queen. So for some strange reason, there's a big panic out in the field that as soon as you lose your queen, you're going to immediately get laying workers. That's not the case. You got 3 days for that last egg to hatch, and then you got another 24 hours for it to get out of the realm of being a queen. So now, from the minute that that queen dies, within 30 minutes, a group of bees know about it. Within 5 hours, the whole hive knows about it. So why do you think that the bees are sitting there thinking, oh, our queen's dead, oh gosh, we're going to give up? Yeah, they don't. Now the one down here you saw where there was a lot of cap brood, there's no eggs and no larvae. That automatically tells you you had a queen problem within the last few weeks. All right? The biggest concern with laying workers is that when you get laying workers, their whole hive dies because they can only lay drone eggs, and drones can't do anything. That's not the case. As long as you've got brood in the hive, you don't have to worry about laying workers. And this seems to go in one ear and out the other. Anytime you have a queen problem, the first thing you want to do is go to that other hive, take a frame of eggs, and put in that new hive, or the hive that you think is queenless. Come back 3 days later. If they've got queen cells, then the hive is queenless. If you come back 3 days later and they're feeding those bees like regular larvae, you've got a queen in there. Years ago, a fella called me up, said, Bill, I need a queen. I said, why do you need a queen? He said, well, my queen's dead. I said, take a frame of eggs, put it in your hive. 3 days later, check and see if there's any queen cells. If there's no queen cells, you've got a queen. I said, okay. A week later, he called me back up. Bill, I need you right now. Okay, so I went over to his house. I said, what is it? He said, I bought this $40 queen, $10 to get her here, and put her in there and she's dead. I said, you put a frame of eggs in there. No, I was worried about laying workers. Don't worry about laying workers. They're not as bad as what the people tell you out there. So we went through the hive, and there's a queen, just had started laying eggs. I said, that's the reason they killed your queen. Once they think, even if they've got queen cells, they're not going to accept another queen. So when people tell you, laying workers, don't worry about it. Just take another frame of eggs, put in there, and you've got 21 days before you even have to start thinking about laying workers, because there's brood pheromone in there. As long as there's brood pheromone in there, you don't have to worry about laying workers. The other type is a supersedure cell. When the queen flies out, she mates with 15, 20, 30 drones. She comes back, and as soon as she starts getting to the point where she's running out of those sperm cells, she'll go and lay eggs into queen cell cups, which are sitting on the outside of the frame. And as opposed to emergency cell, which comes out from the cell, this is on the frame. She'll lay egg in there, and there'll be 5 to 6 emergent supersedure cells. So now when one of those emerges, she'll go and kill everybody else. She'll fly out and mate, and it's not unusual, especially springtime of the year, to have mother and daughter laying in the same hive. And everybody says you can't have 2 queens in a hive. With a mother and daughter, yes, you can. Years ago, we were at a show, and they had a queen. We had a marked queen. Somebody said, well, here's a queen over here. Looked over there, sure enough, mother and daughter that we just had to pick up by chance for an observation hive. So you can't have 2 queens, but usually a mother and a daughter. And then the swarm cells, everybody saw swarm cells today, especially if you went over here. Swarm cells, there's a lot of cells along the bottom and the edges, and those, after they cells are capped, usually within a few days, the swarm leaves with about 50% of their hive, the bees, and they wait for another 7 days after the egg emerges from the cell. She flies out, comes back. So now you're about 30 days before the first eggs ever start emerging from the cells. Another sign of bad queen is drones in the worker brood. When we're down here, we saw a couple of those with some of those nasty queens. What she'll do is she thinks she's laying a regular egg, a fertilized egg, but she's not. She's laying an unfertilized egg. And that's when you have the drone coming out of the small worker cell. So he's a smaller drone, not as big and as robust as some of the drones y'all marked. Now another problem is people pick up a frame and it'll be what's called shot brood. It won't be completely full, it'll be little holes in it all over the place. And the first thing somebody's going to say is you've got a bad queen. That queen's mated with her brothers and is laying unfertilized eggs, and the unfertilized eggs are they're fertilized but unfertile. And according to everybody, when you see patches in your worker brood, you've got a bad queen. The only problem with that is you can not only have a bad queen, but you could also have a fantastic queen whose workers are actually smelling disease and disorders inside those cells and have removed them. And now you're looking at what would have been a full pattern to have a shot brood pattern where there's just little holes in it. So you need to think about that. If you're going to worry about a bad queen that's mated with her brothers, all the books say within about 24 hours after that egg hatches, they go in there and pull the larva out. So how do you check? You go into your hive, look for the older larva, and look at the pattern there. If it's solid, it's not a bad queen, that's mismated queen. And there's a lot of problem with people saying this is this when it's really hygienic behavior. Laying workers, everybody's worried about laying workers. Like I told y'all down at the other one, laying workers are no big deal. You'll read about people having terrible times with them. Basically what you do is put a sheet of newspaper down there, and Butch is going to talk a little bit about making nukes, plan B. Now you've got a bad queen, lay the paper down there, put a few little holes, put your good queen on top of there, walk away. A couple days later, the bees from the top mingle with the ones in the bottom. They find the bad queen, or they find the laying workers. They kill everybody that they need to, and in just a little bit, your hive's humming away. Hive sounds. We talked a little bit about that down there when you're in the hive for a little bit longer than what we should have. You notice the sound went from a hum to hum. When you start getting in there too long, you'll hear that pitch go up. When that happens, you need to start thinking about shutting the hive down. Any questions? Clear as mud? All right. No questions?
Cut out the swarm cells?
I sometimes do. Here again, you know, like you, if you have, the question was, do I cut out swarm cells? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. If I've got some extra equipment, a lot of times what I'll do is look around and say, well, I've got 5 swarm cells there, and I know the queen's here because I see her. So I'll take those and make a split. Or if I'm not really sure, I might leave 1 swarm cell in there. And then at the same time, we talked about, Rodney, did you talk about checkerboard and all?
Yeah.
Okay, then you go back in there, checkerboard, and the hive has gone from honk to weak, and it's like, oh, we already swarmed, let's just go on back to business. So now I've got a new hive that I've got a plan B or plan C or plan D, and I've got all my other stuff. So, you know, it's something you can use. If your neighbor needs a queen or needs a hive, here's your free hive.
So if you don't have extra equipment, you don't want another hive, you cut them out?
Yeah. If you don't need the queen cells, cut them out, or make a phone call and say, hey, I've got some extra queen cells. Who wants some? Because somebody else is always looking for a plan B. Any other questions?
When's the latest time you would do a split in the year?
Depends on when you can get a queen. You can do a split in late September here. It's not real good because then you got to really feed it and work it real hard to bring up the bees. But as long as you can get a mated queen here, you can do it pretty much any time. Or you can requeen late in the year. But the problem is getting a mated queen. It's hard to do that in March, because all the people in South Georgia and California, they're all booked up with people like Bob Benny ordering 20,000 queens. So, any other questions before we do something else? All right, next is Butch. We're going to go down here. It won't be too long. He's going to show us how to make a plan B